everyone, my name is Madison and welcome back to my channel. I am excited for this video and this little mini series I'm going to be doing. I get so many questions, of course, about aerospace engineering, what it's like studying it, the major itself, things like that, and I thought it'd be fun and interesting to go through courses year by year, the classes that you take, what they're like, and what I personally did with these classes when I took them, things like that. Now, of course, I will be speaking on my own behalf, of course, the classes that I took and my experiences, and number two, of course, this is what CU Boulder's course structure and course kind of outline looks like for 4 years. That will vary school by school, country by country. Of course, the classes you're required to take, the order in which you take them, those sorts of things always change, but I would like to answer some questions and kind of inform you all about what this major looks like, my experience with the classes, hands-on work, lectures, that sort of thing. So, like I said, I will be making this a little mini series. I thought it'd be really fun to kind of go through this year by year. Now, of course, I'm in the middle of my junior year, or guess partway through my junior year, and I have not started my senior year, so I'm not gonna do the junior and senior year videos until I'm fully done with the courses so that I can talk about them with you all after I have experience with the classes and things like that. So for now, we can do the freshman and sophomore ones. I will be starting today with, of course, the first year or the freshman year video, but I have the, what do they call this? Aerospace Engineering Sciences recommended 4-year plan of study for freshman year pulled up here, as well as my transcript, because I guess that was just the easiest way I thought I could get access to my classes and how many credits each of them were, but that's beside the point, just so I can walk through what classes I took and when, because not everything I did aligned with the 4-year plan of study. So let's go. Alrighty, so first thing I want to mention, like I said, I'm a junior studying aerospace engineering. I am getting my computer science minor, which for freshman year did not really change many of the classes or any of the classes that I took. And then what else was I gonna say? Oh yes, I did come in with quite a bit of APDE credit, like most other aerospace students. I've gone on rants and rambles and tangents about this before, but like, just because you come in with enough credits to be like a sophomore or something like that, you're a freshman. Everybody else is a freshman. Every other kid who's studying aerospace engineering at the number 6 aerospace school in the country has just as many APD credits as you, and everybody here is basically like 100 times smarter than I am. So point is just because you came in with a lot of credits to be like a junior or sophomore or whatever, you're a freshman, you're going to be taking pretty much all the same classes, and a lot of the classes you take freshman year, you either A, can't get out of, B, if you can get out them, you'll probably regret it, and C, if you do get out of them, big whoop. So that's my little ramble. Let's go. Alrighty, so as y'all can see here on the 4-year plan of study, it suggests that fall semester you take this Calculus 1 for engineers. This is in the applied math department. That is a 4-credit class. You take a first-year projects course. This is something like, we have an intro to rockets class, we have like a general projects course, something like that, where you are put in a group for a semester and are kind of assigned a project, and you get to design it, build it, make it, present it. So for the projects class I took, it was called Gateway to Space, and you got to build like a CubeSat with your own experiment on it, and then it went up on this weather balloon to the edge of space before it popped. And the experiment we did was like measuring particle count and quantity throughout flight to kind of model, oh gosh, it had something to do with some time theory. I honestly don't remember, because we didn't even get to really do it because I took it in the spring in the middle of COVID. So the project got scrapped in March and we went online. So theoretically it's pretty cool if like you're doing it not when COVID blew up, but either way. It also suggests you take this ASCN 1320. This is a computer science class on MATLAB and C++. Or not really suggest, you have to take this class. If you for some reason can get out of it with some sort of AP computer science class, I'm sorry, because this class is amazing. And you will be using MATLAB about 2 hours a day for the rest of your undergraduate curriculum. And if you do not understand MATLAB really well, which they do not teach you in CSP or CSA, you will probably be really behind. So I really don't recommend that you get out of this class, because this one of all of them is incredibly important. Humanities or social science elective. This is a 3-credit class. You can either make this an upper or lower division humanities. You need 9 you need 9 lower division humanities credits for this degree and 6 upper divisions. I have said this before, I really recommend you take and transfer all of the AP or DE like humanities, social science credits you can, because they can almost all be knocked out. You can knock out almost all, or if not all, your lower division humanities credits really easily with things like AP Spanish, AP Lit, politics or government. I did like a DE American history class and I got credit for it, so these are really easy to knock out. I highly recommend you get these out of the way, and these are classes that don't build on themselves, as opposed to all of your classes sophomore year will build on your MATLAB knowledge. So it's important that you have a good understanding of MATLAB, where these lower division humanities, you don't, just get them out of the way. And then this free elective here, that's just kind of, I don't know how to say that. If you come in with any amount of AP or DE credit, it's almost guaranteed you'll get all of your free electives out of the way, because of typically just the way that AP DE transfer credits work. For example, I've also said this before, I'm a campus like tour guide and ambassador for the aerospace department and for like campus as a whole, and we suggest that you retake the last like AP math class or just math class that you passed. So if the highest level of math you did in high school was Calc 3, we recommend you at minimum repeat Calc 3. Some people will even go all the way back to Calc 1 just because of how fast these classes move. Your typical AP class, AP Calc AB, AP Calc BC, you do in 40 weeks, where in college you do it in 15 weeks. So you're doing it in less than half the time, and you're also in a lecture hall of 200 to 300 people instead of a classroom of 20 to 30 people. So repeating that last class is a really good way to get used to the really fast-paced learning, as well as get used to these big lecture halls where you are grasping a lot less information than you probably would in a class. So that being said, I personally took Calc AB and BC in high school, got credit for both of those classes, but I retook Calc 2. However, I transferred my AP Calc BC credit and got free elective credit for it, even though I repeated Calc 2 in college, if that makes any sense. So these free electives are really easy to knock out. Spring semester, Calc 2 for engineers, another really important math class in the applied math department. If you know anything about like STEM at CU, you've probably heard horrible things about our applied math department, in that it will whoop your little butt. The APPM department here is amazing and horrible at the same time, because they know exactly what they're doing. They know how to test kids on everything and all the trick questions. Like, if you can pass these classes, you will be so well set up for success in your future classes. They can just be really challenging to pass. I've had friends get 18% on the exams. Luckily, I got through with pretty good grades in all of my APPM classes, but I've had some kids who did not take the time to study. You really get screwed. So yeah, like I said, the APPM department here is very hard, which means it kind of sucks in that sense, but like if you can pass, you will be so set up for your aerospace classes. Then we have this material science for aerospace engineers class. This is a really cool class on basically how things break and breaking stuff, which is, I thought was really fun. So you go all the way down to like the chemistry and the molecular levels of all these different bonds and, oh, what are they called? Hexa somethings. Either way. And then you go all the way up to like the bigger structures, so you're doing cool experiments and like tensile tests of like breaking things, which is cool. Physics 1, just, this is a calc-based physics 1 class, not an algebra-based physics 1 class, which just want to point that out there because they don't make it necessarily that clear on here, but for you all, I personally was not able to take a calc-based physics 1 class in high school because neither of the two high schools I went to offered it. So I did algebra-based physics. I passed the test and I got credit for it at CU, but I didn't get credit to get out of calc-based physics 1 because I only had credit for the algebra-based physics 1, which again is where my free elective credit came from, because you need, I don't know how many free elective credits. You need like 10 free elective credits or something like that, and those you can really easily knock out with classes that you passed in high school that you just didn't get credit for because of, like I said, like mine was a good example of where I passed algebra-based physics but never took the calc-based physics that I actually needed for my degree. So you can still get credit for that class, you just can't get out of the calc-based version, if that makes any sense. So, and then it also wants you to take your other 6 lower division humanities and social sciences. They don't necessarily say lower division here because you can do either upper or lower, but at some point you need a minimum of 6 upper division humanities, which to my understanding, you cannot get out of with any high school credits, so just keep that in mind. Now we're gonna go and talk about what I did differently and why I took the classes that I did, because I kind of stuck to this, kind of did things out of order. So first up, we talked about how I got credit for Calc 1 and Calc 2 in high school. I ended up retaking Calc 2 just because of the speed of the course, and I am so glad I did. Even though I did really well in Calc 1 and Calc 2 in high school, this APPM department just really amplified my like weak spots and showed me like where I didn't actually know what I was doing, which I think was really good. I didn't feel the need to go all the way back to Calc 1 because I just felt like I did well enough in Calc 2 that I thought just reviewing that would be enough for me to be able to catch up with the speed of things, which I'm really glad I did do that because this gave me an extra semester at the end of my sophomore year where I wasn't taking an applied math class, that I could take an extra computer science class instead. So that worked out pretty well. This first year projects course, I ended up moving to second semester, and in its place I took Physics 1. I took the calc-based Physics 1 like I mentioned. This was a 4-credit class, just another pretty big lecture style class. I want to say I had over 300 kids in my lecture, but then I of course had a recitation which had about 12 kids in it or so once a week for an hour, which was a good chance to go over some problems and do some book work just to get more familiar with material working in a smaller group setting with a PhD student, which was really cool. I took this ASCM 1320. At the time it was called CSCI 1320, so it was housed by the computer science department. Like I mentioned, it is a C++ and MATLAB class. The biggest part, the most important part of this class is the MATLAB. You will use MATLAB so much in your aerospace curriculum. I think the C++ part of it was really cool, kind of to fill some space and also to introduce kids into coding and programming. The C++ part of this class is what actually really influenced me to go for the computer science minor. I really enjoyed this class, found it really useful. Definitely was a lot of work just because I feel like computer science and programming is something you either totally get and totally understand or not at all. And I felt like I at the time leaned more on the side of totally understanding it, where maybe now I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. I just know that I'm supposed to be doing whatever I'm trying to do. If that makes any sense. I felt like I was better at coding at like a lower level, like this stuff, as opposed to like the junior level classes I'm taking now. I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But either way, this humanities or social science elective is super open-ended, which is really, really cool. To my understanding, you can literally even take dance classes and cool stuff like that, art classes for these. We literally have a hip hop for engineers class because apparently they think all the engineers are super geeky and nerdy and awkward and need their own class to make friends or something. But if that's something you're interested in, that's a pretty cool option. I personally took a class called Humanities for Engineers, which is its own little like mini department. And I took a class called The Human Condition, where I was in a class of like 8 or 9 people, and we wrote essays and talked about like old books and Greek mythology and stuff like that, which was really cool. And then we all did little like mini TED Talks for our final. This class was so influential in my kind of college career. Like I said, I was in a class of 9 people. 2 of those people in my class were actually my roommates, and then one of them is also like our best, like one of our really good friends. So even though you do have your bigger lecture style classes like this computing class, calculus, physics, there are still so many chances to work in a small group, make a lot of friends, and get more like one-on-one time with the professor. So overall, first semester, freshman year, I had 15 credits like it suggested. Pretty standard. I didn't do anything all that special. Honestly, your first year, there are not a whole lot of chances to do anything special. I have had some friends take multiple kind of astronomy classes and things like that first year, which I think is awesome if that's something you're interested in. I personally, if you are looking to take more quote-unquote higher level like free electives and professional area electives, I would recommend you wait until maybe your sophomore, junior, senior year to take those, because a lot of those classes you need prerequisites for, and I personally found that it made more sense for me to wait to take those classes, jam my schedule full of prerequisites my first year so that I have more freedom and flexibility later when I actually am able to take the cool like cybersecurity classes and stuff like that I need a lot of prereqs for. So do with that what you will, but maybe keep in mind your minor and kind of where your interests lie. Moving on to second semester, instead of this Calc 2 for engineers, I took Calc 3 for engineers. Like I mentioned, I was a semester ahead. Y'all, I've said this before. Calc 3, I think, was the hardest class I've ever taken. And sophomore year classes are hard in a different sense, but I really did struggle with Calc 3. I got a B+ in the class, so I'm not gonna act like I failed the class, but I don't think I've ever worked so hard for a B+ in my life, and I don't think I've ever been so frustrated with not seeing results as that class, if that makes sense. Sophomore year classes were also hard in a different sense. It's your first time you're truly seeing that exam threshold. So in the aerospace curriculum, you need a 73% exam average in order to pass your classes. If your exams do not average a 73%, you automatically fail the class. So you could have 100% on your homeworks and labs, have a 71 on your exams, and you'll still fail the class because you need to prove you can do the work in an exam, like stressful, monitored setting on your own. Which I think totally makes sense. And for a lot of these classes, yes, they're hard, but in my personal experience, I would do 5, 6, 7 practice exams for some of these classes, and I'd get a 90 in the exam. So I felt like I actually saw results. Where in Calc 3, I would do 5, 6, 7 practice exams, and I'd be lucky if I got like a mid B. So yes, the sophomore classes are hard, but I felt like I actually could wrap my head around what I was trying to do and what I needed to do well enough to actually see results and feel like me studying was really worth my time. Where in Calc 3, I would do all these practice exams. I was going to 2 lectures. I went to two different lectures a day for Calc 3, and I just really felt like I was not seeing the results I would have liked to, considering how much work I was putting in. So there's that. Material science for aerospace engineers. Again, like I mentioned, this is a really, really cool class. If you have taken a chemistry class or like an AP Chem class, you will probably do a lot better in this class than I did. I have only ever taken like general chemistry my sophomore year of high school. I never took AP Chem, and the first third of this class is very chem-based. And it doesn't necessarily like require you to have an AP Chem knowledge, but it will definitely help. I had so many friends that either like took it and did really well in that part of the class, or never took Chem and were just kind of like playing catch up the entire like first third of the class. But you'll be fine if you don't have it. You just like it might not come quite as naturally. However, the last 2/3 of that class were my personal favorite part. That's when you're actually doing a lot more like physical hands-on work in labs. Like I said, you're doing like tensile tests and stuff like that, where you're like pulling things apart, breaking it, doing stress tests and analysis and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. Actually getting to do group work, you're doing your first engineering write-ups, which is like, little baby Madison did that, what, almost 2 years ago, and it was probably garbage compared to what I can do now, but it's your first experience to trying to write papers and stuff like that as an engineer. So that's a really cool class. I don't think you can get out of that one at all. That one is like definitely required, and because it's unlike anything you ever can do in high school, I really do not know if there's any way you can get out of that class with any sort of AP or DE credit. Maybe DE credit, but not AP credit. General Physics 1, like I mentioned, I took that first semester, so I took my freshman projects class. Spring semester, like I mentioned, I did Gateway to Space, which was that CubeSat project in class. That was a really cool one where you're working in a group of about 8 to 9 people for 3 hours of class time a week, and then probably another 3 to 4 hours a week outside of class to get your experiment and project ready and done. This is a really cool class that I think CU puts on, and they have 5 or 6, I want to say, different options on freshman projects you can take, which is a really cool way to just get more hands-on work, experience, and small group work as a first-year student, as opposed to all of these lecture-style classes. This class is weird in the sense that you can get out of this class with like AP Chem credit and with modern physics credit, which is in between classical mechanics and physics 2. It's like physics 3, but they call it modern physics. For some reason, that gets you out of a first-year projects course, which unless you for some reason really don't want to take that class, this is a really cool class to take. All the different options we offer for freshman projects are really, really cool, and I really recommend that you don't get out of this class just because it's a great chance to make friends, get more experience, get to know professors. This is how you're going to get into a lab, possibly your sophomore year, those sorts of things. So look into all the different options for first year projects, whether you're wanting to do satellites, rockets, stuff for the environment. There's all different kind of categories you can choose to take a class in. My second semester, first year, I also took another humanities class. I took an upper division, so I did a 3000 level class called The Ethics of Genetic Engineering. This class was really cool. It definitely was not like an easy walk in the park kind of blow off class by any means. We read Frankenstein and pretty much spent the entire semester reading and going through Frankenstein and writing essays and stuff like that, and doing analyses, stuff like that. It was really fascinating. I made mine a lot more like biblical, which I thought like I kind of wanted to take a unique perspective, because I'm in no way like a fantastic writer. I did fine on like the ACT writing and all that jazz, but like I'm an engineer like through and through, in the sense of I'm really bad at reading books and I'm not that great at writing. But so on top of that, my professor was a PhD physics professor that like reads and edits and grades and revises all of the PhD physics like thesis papers, which this man is so smart. This man knew what he was doing. And so me being like a subpar writer on top of that, this was not a walk in the park. I had to work for my grade. But it was a really cool class. It was really fascinating, and I thought it was really cool to get to take a humanities class that also kind of tied in engineering and genetic engineering, and just had a really unique perspective on things like that. So last but not least, I took a Calc 3 work group, which was a pass-fail class, which is kind of why I talked about it last. But these work groups, they offer for a lot of applied math classes and some computer science classes. They might offer them for more departments, but for sure math and computer science for certain classes. And these are just a chance to get to do extra problems and work in a group setting outside of class. So once a week you'd meet up with a group of about 20 kids, you'd break down into groups of 2, 3, or 4 students and work for 2 hours on pretty much like extra homework. Like I said, this was just pass-fail, just a way to work with other kids, rarely wrap your head around the material, or try to wrap your head around the material. And then there were 2 PhD like math students who led the work group with your 20 kids. So there's so many opportunities and so many chances to ask one of these really smart PhD students, you know, questions, ask for help, go through examples, that sort of thing, which I think this definitely helped me do better in Calc 3 than I would have if I hadn't done that. Yet I still feel like I didn't understand what was going on in the majority of that class, but I was trying. So I ended up taking 18 credits my second semester, first year, which I wouldn't say it was all that much. I think the suggested one says that you take 17, which like 1 credit doesn't make that much of a difference. The maximum amount of credits you can take as a student here at CU are 19 per semester, unless you get special approval. I do not recommend that you overwork yourself unless you really see the need to or really feel like you can manage it. I think it all depends on your classes. In my personal opinion, it makes more sense to take 16 credits and have a job in like a research lab or be really involved in a club than take 19 credits and not have time to do anything, because those extra 3 credit hours don't just mean an extra 3 hours of work a week. It means an extra 3 hours of class time a week and probably an extra 5 to 10 hours of homework a week. So those few hours do make a really big difference in your overall schedule. So there is that. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope this helped some of you out. I will be making a sophomore year one at some point in time. I have no idea, but I think first year definitely is one of the more interesting years, just because it varies so much with every school, with how much hands-on work you're getting, how much group work you're getting, one-on-one time with professors, how many lecture hall classes you're gonna have, things like that. So I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will see you all next time. Peace out. Bye.